Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. I'm so excited about my new guest here. His name's Jonny. Jonny, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Oh man, it's a pleasure. Like I said, I've been following you for years on YouTube, man. You're an OG and a legend, so grateful to be on here.
Well, Jonny, I've been doing this a long time, and like to get other people's stories because I know it inspires others when they see somebody successfully eating healthy and made a transition in their life. And I heard your story. You used to be overweight. You made a transition, and I want you to just share a little bit about where you're at now and how you got there. So, where are you with are you a long-term raw foodist, vegan? How long you been doing this?
Okay, so actually March marked 10-year mark for me. March 21st. I'll never forget the day I watched Earthlings 10 years ago. Went vegan overnight. It was like that. And it was hard because growing up in an Italian household, I was like, I'll never give up dairy. I started out vegetarian. And yeah, so it hit the 10-year mark this year. I was a raw foodist for 5.5 years. I tragically lost my mom to a car accident in 2020 and literally didn't eat for about a day and a half. And my girlfriend was at my mom and dad's house. We flew back to Chicago and she started cooking for the family. And she has a vegan Mexican restaurant in San Diego. So she was making food for everybody. And it was like the comfort of just being there and just feeling so broken and like not caring about anything. I started eating cooked food and I started introducing cooked food again during that time. And it was a slippery slope though, because I stopped doing everything. I stayed vegan, of course, during that time, but stopped moving. I wasn't juicing as much and was going out to vegan restaurants. Like I had friends in California that were like consoling me and saying, hey, meet me here, meet me at Pura Vida, meet me at Planta, Crossroads, all these places. And started getting strung out on cooked food. And yeah, it kind of took me down a path, but that was like kind of like my coping mechanism. So
Well, that's very interesting you say that. We'll get more into that because that's one of the things people got to be aware of, the emotional eating and the aspects of that, because you could have easily have went back to eating the standard American diet on situations like that. People often do, but your knowledge was enough at that point where you knew, hey, I'm going to slip this much, but not that much. But not everyone's there. So I want to discuss that because uh it's the emotional side of this and the mental side because it's easy to eat raw food, but emotionally it's and socially it's not. So before we get into that, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I was born and raised. I moved out here August 26th will be 6 years. I moved to California. I'm in Southern California, Culver City. Yeah, just for the lifestyle, for the farmers markets, for the weather, the beaches, the hiking trails. So
I think you're in one of the two best spots in the United States. I mean, I know people eating raw food in Minnesota, but I think the two best spots in the United States to do it is Southern California and Southern Florida. I think, but you're in a great spot. Now, you came from Chicago. So when you turned vegan and saw Earthlings, that was in Chicago?
that was in Chicago, yes.
Okay, so I spent a lot of time in Chicago. They had a lot of raw food restaurants and a lot of vegetarian restaurants. Karen Calabrese was from Chicago. She had a place called Karen's Corner, and you said you knew her, right?
Knew Karen really well. She had three restaurants at the time. I had just gotten into going raw. It was like about a month or two after I had gone vegan. I immediately jumped into it because juicing's what started the whole journey. I got into juicing, and then that's what took me to vegetarian vegan. And when I went raw, I did a raw challenge at the time, and I was searching on Google raw food, Chicago, and Karen Calabrese popped up. So I ironically seen she was speaking at a veggie pride parade. Went there, took a video of her. I shared it on my page, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I love the video you took. Would love to talk and meet you." So I was like, "Oh my God," and I'm thinking like Karen's like, I had her on a pedestal at this time because throughout that journey, fast forward, I mean, being a raw foodist, before that, I was like, it was like a 6 month journey. It was very lonely. It was very isolating. And I was looking for these people. Like I was watching Dan McDonald. I was watching you. I was watching Fully Raw Christina. There wasn't many people doing it, that were posting about it all the time. So Karen was one of them. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to meet this woman. So I went to her restaurant. It was the one on Halstead. It was her raw restaurant. It was like the longest standing raw food restaurant. And at the time, she was like, would love for you to help me with some content. I'm not really hip to that stuff. In exchange, I will trade you, some raw food. Now, her place had a lot of raw gourmet food. And when I got into it, I was mostly on liquids. I was like liquids, cutting a watermelon and eating it, mangoes, a little salad here and there, but I wasn't eating much. It was a lot of liquids. And yeah, then I met Karen, and I mean, we're very close. We actually did a retreat together in 2019 with Viktoras Kulvinskas in Costa
Wow,
Rica.
wow. Now I
And
remember it's amazing. I mean, Victorious and Karen are great friends, and that must have been a wild retreat. It must be so cool.
just like in hindsight, it's just so much respect for those two. I mean, Victoris I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it. Some of these people in the raw food world, and you see on social media today, they pop up out of nowhere, then they're gone. These people have been doing it for so long, so it's like they are true OGs. And Victoris was one of the kindest humans I ever met. And I was so grateful to be part of that retreat. It was amazing.
Wow. There's a place I used to go to in Chicago all the time called Cousins IV. Have you ever heard of that or been there?
No,
The Cousins
no.
Incredible Vitality, one of the most amazing raw food restaurants. And Mamet
Wow.
ran it, and it was amazing. So I used to go there all the time and speak. And I remember there was another place in Chicago that had like a raw food thing in a train station. Like
Oh,
yeah,
Chicago Raw. It was
yeah,
called
that was
Chicago
pretty
Raw.
cool. And then more
Yeah.
recently I was there. I was there more recently, maybe about, see, all that was about maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But then like 5 years ago, I think I went out there and there were two or three raw food restaurants that I hadn't known before. They were really good. I don't remember the names, but they were really good. And so Chicago's rocking. Chicago got some raw food stuff, but you're in California. I'm telling you, that's absolutely amazing place if you want to get into raw foods and stuff. So you go to California, you're into this raw foods, vegan stuff. You go to California, and you said you already did a retreat with Victorious and Karen. So did you kind of are you a coach? What are you doing? Anything with the raw foods, or you're just eating healthy? What are you doing with it?
Health coaching. I do a lot of, stuff on Instagram with, juicer companies and, a lot of advertising with supplements. And I continue to do retreats. I did one in California. I haven't done one in about a year, but I did one in Ontario, California. Um, and just doing things that are aligned with the lifestyle. And, it was hard because when I lost my mom, if you go to my Instagram page, one thing about me throughout the years is you're never going to just see me selling something or pushing something that I'm not either taking myself or doing. So when I lost my mom, I was not doing much work. I wasn't doing much creating. I didn't even want to health coach. I wasn't health coaching because I wasn't going to fake being, I'm okay, everything is good. I took it really hard. It took me a good year and a half to finally have peace and move forward, even though we had an amazing relationship. It was very difficult to navigate through that. We hear all this, it's we're having a physical experience, we're spiritual beings, but it's still, like it was very difficult. And I honestly could say if I didn't have the journey I've had over the last 10 years, maybe I would have coped a different way, because I used to drink and go partying and do all that stuff in my 20s. But besides leaning on the cooked food, I really took the time to really grieve and move through it. My mom was one of the closest people to me. I helped her. Well, she did it herself, but she reversed heart disease, going vegan and juicing. She 7 medications in like less than 6 months. She was just on a blood thinner. And she was going to move out here. She was like a month away from retiring. So it was tough. It was a very tough time. And I put on a face like I was good, but behind closed doors, I was struggling. So
Well, you said it was should she have a sickness or was it an accident? What did you say happened?
it was a car accident.
A car
Uh,
accident. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I just get a call. I just talked to her too. Everything was fine, and then I get a call as somebody was on the highway. They were going over 100 miles an hour, all drugged up. They jumped the median on the highway, hit them head on, opposite side, and caused like a 7 car accident. She was the only one to pass. So
Wow.
it was really interesting because it's like she overcame heart disease. She lost all this weight. She's about to retire, and then that happened. And so you have in your head like the way you think things are going to go, and then your world gets rocked. So, but you know, it's there's been a lot of blessings that have come out of it. I mean, I've gotten really close with my sister, and you know, I've been able to help. I had a really close friend who lost her father a year later, that same age as my mom, 64. And, you know, just going through that the way I did, I mean, I didn't want to talk to nobody unless, you know, people would reach out. But unless somebody actually experienced that type of trauma, I didn't really want to, you know, talk to anybody like that. So I feel like it's helped me be able to be somebody people could lean on as well. And another dynamic I could bring to my coaching.
Sure. Sure. So growing up, you said you were just into the, I don't know, the teenage lifestyle, drinking, just living, partying lifestyle, not thinking much
McDonald's.
about anything.
Yeah, McDonald's, Wendy's. I mean, I didn't drink in high school. When I went to college, I started drinking. You know, I didn't have no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I played basketball my life. So, you know, like after school's done and you realize I'm not going to be a professional basketball player, I went to a junior college. I actually became an EMT and was going to be a firefighter, and then fell into a job at FedEx. My uncle was a driver there for like 30 years. He got me in and he's like, hey, why don't you come in? So I started out as a handler for 6 months, became a driver, and I was there for like 12 years. And
Oh,
that's kind of
wow.
what I did. I worked for 12 years at FedEx, picking up packages. Couldn't wait for the weekend to go out and party and spend my money, you know, and that was my life. And I
Were
think,
you ever sick or anything?
oh yeah, I had IBS. I'm lactose intolerant. I had migraines. I had migraines so bad, and I had a migraine medication, but I would actually take Excedrin migraine because of the caffeine and everything. It would make me like that. It would kick it, you know. So I'd be at FedEx. I'd have to call my manager, and what we would do is called a sweep, where I'd say I have a headache. I needed to put like a towel over my head. I would throw up. I would get nauseous. It was that bad. And what she would do is have another empty truck come, and they do a sweep, and they take all my freight and take it to the airport. That's how bad it would get. You know, in high school, I had a hall pass my whole, because I had IBS. I had a colonoscopy my freshman year in high school, or eighth grade going into freshman year. So
Wow, crazy.
yeah, yeah, I had a lot of gut issues. I mean, I wasn't the worst eater, but I was eating a lot of, you know, whatever my mom was cooking, and I would eat McDonald's. I mean, I guess it wasn't the best, but it got worse when I got out of high school, you know.
What made you go look at Earthlings? Was it your health or was it somebody just tell you to watch it? What made you
Well,
watch it?
the first film was Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. You know, I would, you know, in Chicago, they're known for deep dish pizza. I'll never forget, I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and, you know, and we actually went vegan together, and we're still friends, and she's still vegan as well. She had set her 10-year mark, but we sat there and we would look at documentaries like Food Inc. and all these different ones that never really did it. And we came across Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and we were eating a deep dish pizza watching it, and I'm like, I'm going to get a juicer tomorrow. I never knew. I was like 31 at the time. I never knew what a juicer was. You know, like I thought juicing was blending in like a ninja or
Yeah.
something. So the stories I heard, the people with the gut issues, the migraines, I'm like, this is it, you know. And I was just at a point, you know, I have a before and I have a few before and after pictures, but one of them in particular was Christmas. And right before I had seen that, and I go, I'm just tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of just having, I didn't have purpose. When you're not living with purpose, you kind of get depressed and you just get stagnant. And that's kind of how I was feeling. I was just ready for a change. And I made a commitment to myself saying, you know, I'm going to do this. And when I saw that documentary, got the same juicer from the film the next day at Bed Bath and Beyond,
Which
and
juicer
started.
was it?
It was the Breville. It was
Okay.
actually the Breville Elite. I got a grade up. It was like $3.99, but it was all like stainless steel, and
Well, here we
so
are many years later. I've seen some of your pictures. You have the Green Star juicer. What's your favorite juicer now?
I was working with TriBest for a while, and the Green Star was the very first juicer that I like put all my money. I'm like, yes, this is it. I can't wait. I'm going to do the wheatgrass, and I saw Lou Corona doing it and Dan McDonald using it. So I'm like, this is it. And over the last couple of years, I've seen another juicer pop up on the scene, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm a little jealous. This thing looks nice. I got to shove everything in this little Green Star. So actually on my counter right now, believe it or not, I haven't even tried it yet. I just got it, but I have the Nama 2 here.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm the I have a video. I'm the biggest Green Star fan juicer out there. I've been using it for years. Me and John Kohler made a video comparing because he came with the Nama, and I was like, nah, nobody's touching my Green Star. I had the expensive model of it, and I'm big into the Green Star all these years. And then John told me about the Nama J2, and he came to my house and we did a video comparing the two. And I was like, I'm sold. And I'm a big advocate of the Nama. It just changed everything. And because for what happened was I was juicing a lot, and then I got married. And my wife's like, this is not easy to juice. And I'm like, of course it's easy to juice and clean. I'm like, it's easy. And then he was complaining, so I saw how easy the Nama was online, and I ended up getting one. She juices all the time, no problem. It's easy, it's quick, and so I highly recommend the Nama. And if anyone's watching, you want a Nama, I'll put a code below, Paul 10, and you can get a discount. But that thing, open it up, man. It's amazing. It changed juicing for me after
It's
juicing all those years.
it's sitting right here. I opened it up. The
Yeah.
box is over there. So I
Yeah.
was just in New York. So I just gotten back. Had a week of travels and just got back, and I'm ready to start using it. I'm
It's going to
excited.
change the game with everything. It is amazing. It really is.
I'm
That much of it.
excited.
I'm a big juicer, and it makes that much of a difference. So what happened to me was pretty amazing because when I got sick when I was younger, as you probably know, I
Of
started with
course.
the raw foods. I got better. Uh, well, I started, I was doing the raw foods. I was better. I was going around teaching. I wrote some books, and then I had a big transformation in my life because when I got uh healed, I started to go on this spiritual path because prior to me being healed, I was pretty much an atheist. Prior to me, when I was sick, when I was younger, so I got healed. So now I'm like going all over the place. But then somebody said, I got the greatest health book you ever written. And I said, well, did they talk about raw food? And they said, absolutely. And they said, well, I said, are the people in there that great testimonials from it? They said, absolutely. To make a long story short, somebody handed me a Bible. And at that time, I had never read the Bible. And the only thing I quoted from it was Genesis 1:29, that the food for man was fruits and vegetables. But then I read it and I looked at it, and it just opened up my eyes to a whole new life. And I've accepted Jesus in my life as my Messiah and my Savior. So tell us about what happened to your mom, the emotional impact of it. How was your spiritual life before that? And then how was it after? Because it always takes something life transformation to kind of change us. I went from a atheist to a believing in everything to believing in Jesus. So what's your spiritual path with this? Did anything change or did everything change?
Everything changed, man. You know, um, you get goosebumps talking about this as well. I grew up Catholic, and during a time where my sister, she's a couple years older than me, I would say this is before my journey started. She had got married, went Christian, and was turning my parents onto it. And they would go to Christian churches, and they tried to get me to go, and I went a couple times, but I wasn't trying to hear any of it. And then during this whole journey, like you said, you're on this spiritual path, right? You start eating raw foods, and you're feeling eating foods, living foods connected to the earth. You start feeling more connected. I mean, when I was at FedEx, I would naturally, because I was raw, just start taking off my shoes and grounding on my break, eating fruit, and like geese would come by me, and just it's an awakening, and you're just like, wow, life is beautiful, nature's beautiful, and you're just on this journey of, kind of like it all, and this is your own path, but kind of like the new age stuff, and when my mom passed, she always wanted me to, convert to Christianity and stuff. And my girlfriend is like, hey, why don't we? Because I was really messed up, man. It was really rough. And she goes, why don't you come to this church? There's a great pastor there. And I'm like, all right, fine. It's in San Diego. It's this church called Skyline. And I'm like, fine, I'll go. So I went, and it was just crazy because the minute I walked in there, I had this feeling where I thought I was gonna like blow up. Like I thought I was like gonna just explode, like crying. And I felt like I was, so we were all sitting in the thing, and there was two empty chairs. And I felt like a presence, but it was like it's hard to explain. It was like a hugging, like presence of like gratitude. And I was holding back tears so much to try to like, you know, let it go. So the pastor comes up there. He was a fill-in pastor, right? And he talks about getting through trials and tribulations. And that was the sermon. And he talks about how he was from Bloomington, Illinois. I'm from Bloomingdale, Illinois. And he says that his trials were 20 years ago, that his parents were driving and it was a winter storm and they got hit by a truck and his mother passed, his dad survived. That was exactly my story. And it was my stepdad, but still, and I lost it. I just lost. I'm like, all right, there's no coincidences. This is crazy. And um, just something about that service, he prayed over me and I continued to go. And every time I felt like it was speaking to me, the pastor, everything that they were saying was speaking to me. And I just got hooked. And yeah, I got baptized 2 years ago
Hallelujah.
on Easter. So, especially, man, with everything going on in the world right now, I mean, with all the evil, you can't tell me, it's been a blessing though. I feel like it's really fulfilled and kind of filled that gap that I lost. Um, and it's just helped me be grounded as a man in what my beliefs and my whole moral foundation. So it's been a ride for sure. It's crazy because my sister actually went the other way. She was like, I can't believe this, but now she's come back and she's going back to church and she has her Bible study and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride because that kind of like rocked our family. But it's kept me. I mean, some people are like, how are you so good now? Because I've come out of it and I'm like, I feel really good. The last like year, I feel like I've been very strong just in, being strong in my faith, being strong with how I'm living my life and just the direction and my intention. So, but yeah, that was a huge part of my healing process. So,
I understand completely, and I pray that everyone watching this, because I know a lot of people that are interested in veganism and raw food, their spiritual walk, it's just everything's on their shoulders. It's all about them and how they're going to deal with things, how they do everything, and it's all about them. And I'm telling you, everyone out there, I'm not here to just change this subject, but I'm telling you, you have a helper. You don't have to, it doesn't have to all be on your shoulders, and it makes it so much easier. So please consider what he's saying. It's so amazing. And Jesus is real and it's amazing. Yeah, brother. So wow. So what's going on now? What do you do now? And where are you at with your diet now? Are you like still eating a lot of foods from restaurants, or are you like really strict and just juicing? Where are you at now with it?
yeah, so I'll tell you this. So you were like, well, at least you knew how to come back, right? You were saying that earlier because, the 10 years of experience, but Paul, I was struggling for a while. I was going to all these I was like, you know what? I've been raw all this time. I've lived in LA. LA is the mecca for vegan restaurants. I'm going to tap into all these. And I probably put on like 15 pounds at the time. And because I wasn't moving and I was grieving, and I was just like, all right, let's go. Pura Vida is an Italian vegan restaurant. Unbelievable, but these restaurants are cooking with oils and all this stuff. So I started seeing, I'm like, I got to get back like to myself. And when I started getting through the grieving process was when I picked myself up. I'm like, all right, this is it. I was going for a while every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, at a restaurant in Fountain Valley called Allah.
Yeah,
And Luke,
absolutely. My favorite raw restaurant when I'm out there.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
That and Wild Living Foods. Wild Living Foods is my favorite actually downtown. It's pretty awesome with their kelp
Okay.
noodles and stuff. But yeah, I was going there and Lou Corona would speak the first Tuesday of every month. And I would go the first Tuesday, me and Lou would talk on the phone for like hours. And then one day I'm at this thing, I'm like 6 months consecutively going, and I'm sitting there in front and he's doing his thing and he just looked at me, he goes, Jonny, he goes, can I ask why you're here? He goes, you've been coming. I go, it's like going to church, man. I go, you inspire me. Like, I'm going to leave here. And I would go live from my phone, because again, being in this lifestyle for the last 10 years in this world, I see what's happened. And the people who have been doing it for so long, like that are consistent and have been consistent. And there's been so many people that have teeter-tottered, gone from vegan to carnivore to this to that. and they start trying to start like a business out of it, and it's like I've just seen so much that I think it's so important to continue to pay homage to the people that started the movement, that have continued to be an example, like yourself, like Lou's amazing, Karen, guys like Victoris, and just people like that. And um, I just think it's important to keep that going, because there's so many people that are just, they're not given the right information. Just being in this for a while and seeing what works and what doesn't, and then why they leave the lifestyle. So, but getting back to that, so I went to Lou Corona's thing, and I started a protocol that actually Dan McDonald put together from Lou's Puridyme supplements. I was taking 42 supplements a day. I was taking his cleanse, his enzymes, his herbal blood, his Pure Life probiotic. And actually, I'm going to tell this quick story real quick, because this is crazy. 30 days into this 90-day protocol, basically you're taking 42 of his supplements a day, 8 in the morning, 8, and then, or no, 16 and then 8, something like that. But you're breaking them up throughout the day. And the morning you would take these cleanse pills, and you take them with the 32-ounce juice, green juice. I'm on a hike on day like 31 with my friends in Eagle Rock it's right near Malibu. It's between like Santa Monica and Malibu, but it's a hike. It's a 2-mile hike up, and I'm going, and all of a sudden I thought I was having a heart attack. I started getting sweating, and my heart started pounding. I go, guys, I was with 2 of my friends. I go, I got to sit for a second. And now I'm thinking to myself, I've just been doing juices and mostly raw and these supplements. What the hell's going on? So I sit on a rock, and all of a sudden I feel like this something going through me. It was so crazy. And I told them I gotta go take a walk. And I actually had to use the bathroom on the hike. And if you saw what came out of me, it was crazy, because, being a 10 years vegan and stuff, and then only eating all that cooked food and oils, it was a pile of black gunk. Immediately after that, I felt incredible. I'm like, let's go. And I hiked the rest of the trail and hiked down. They couldn't believe it came from me. They thought it came from an animal. But
Wow.
these supplements help me move out a lot of stuff. So, and I don't make money off his supplements, but they're pretty potent and they're pretty good. But that's kind of what brought me back to life. I started that protocol, and I've gotten into I'm like mostly raw, and I'll have like, sometimes I have cooked at night, sometimes I don't. But my friend Teresa Jordan out here always said, Johnny, when you start tapping into the cooked food, it's very addicting. It's very addicting. It's going to be very hard, because when you go raw initially and then you start eating the cooked food, it's very hard to go back. But I'm still striving to do so. I've just been very active over the last year. I've been into like boxing and hit training, and I do feel like after that, like I'm like starving for, and sometimes I'll have like mushrooms and quinoa bowls and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, I'm on liquids most of the day. It's like juices, smoothies. I do take supplements, and yeah, that's kind of like what it's looking like right now.
Do you do any fasting?
I mean, I try to, besides the juice, I don't eat until like maybe 3 o'clock. And then I try to stop by like 8 at night. So I do have like the little intermittent fasting window. As far as fasting, like juice cleanses, I've done many. I try to do one in the beginning of the year, one like in the summer. I normally do like a watermelon fast, and then I'll do one towards the end of the year. Sometimes I've done the spring and fall equinox fast, but the longest I did a 40-day juice cleanse. I've done 21-day, 30-day. I love doing a juice cleanse, just a simple 10-day. I just feel like it helps reset the taste buds. And if you're trying to kick something, you could do that and then kind of start eating a little bit better when you come off of it.
Sure. And how about your sleep? How much sleep do you like to get every night?
I make sure I get 8 hours every night. I think to me, I think sleep is very important. I see how I operate when I don't get enough sleep. My creativity isn't on point. My workouts aren't on point. So to me, I think sleep is it's like our cell phones, right? Our cell phones are dead. We make sure we plug it in to get 100%. That's what I feel like with sleep. I'm for sure getting my 8 hours.
That's wonderful. That's good, man. That's important. Have you met a lot of people? I know you mentioned a lot of people doing it long term, but have you heard of a lot of success stories of people that made the transition and like to a vegan or raw diet, and they like you said, you mentioned your mom, but what about, have you met a lot of other people that overcome diseases that doctors had given up on?
A number of people. You know, you hear about these stories, but I know a number of people in my life that have done it. You know, and I've worked the Mastering Diabetes retreats, and I've seen a lot of those clients with, I'm sure you know, Robbie and Cyrus that have the Mastering Diabetes, but the people that would heal from those retreats. But also, um, I have a really close friend from Chicago who had a juice bar in Lockport. She had a raw restaurant in Lockport, actually. And she had a juice bar right next door to it. And I just happened to walk into her juice bar. This is in the beginning of my journey. I would say it's probably in 2014, 2015. And I walked in and I see all these coffee enema buckets. And I'm like, who owns this place? You know, because I was just getting into this and I was learning about this. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, whoever owns this stuff, this isn't, they're not, you know, just doing a fad here. They know what they're doing. So, and there was all these herbs and stuff. And all of a sudden you go to the back and there's this lady juicing. And we started talking. And she opened up her raw restaurant and her juice bar because she had reversed stage 4 cancer. She had stage 4 cancer. The doctor gave her 6 months to live. Her name's Lori Arnold. She lives in Colorado Springs now, but she worked with Nintendo. She was very high up and very stressful job. And she ended up going to the Gerson Institute, didn't do no chemo, no radiation. Went to the Gerson Institute and ended up reversing stage 4. The funny thing is, though, it came back because she went back to her reckless lifestyle, all the stress, the diet. It came back. She went back to the Gerson Institute, became a Gerson practitioner, reversed it again, and she's like 10 years cancer free. She has a huge ranch and she has a retreat center in Colorado Springs. So,
Wow.
you know, her and we stay in touch a lot. And, you know, she's incredible. Um, you know, so I mean, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, I mean, those are 3 of the top 4 killers in America, right? And these are people in my life that I've seen reverse it. I mean, my girlfriend helped her sister reverse type 2 diabetes. She lived in with her for like a month. I mean, when you really um, get into, I mean, there's so much knowledge out there now that, you know, before it was crazy. You could say like, oh, people are suppressing the information, but I mean, there is information out there, and it's the will to want to do it. You know, I have family that's, you know, coming from an Italian family, overweight, sick. They all have juicers, but they all want that one pill, you know? So it's like there's always, I just think that people are either going to have the will to really want to make the lifestyle change, because it's not just like doing a juice cleanse and then being cured, right? It's a lifestyle change. You change everything. You change what you're watching, you change where you're going, you change what you're listening to, you know? So, and that's kind of how my whole journey happened.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so great, man. So what would your advice be, or to anyone who's watching right now, they maybe they stumbled on this video that think they can't do it or they're too far gone? What would you tell them?
Oh man. I mean, my mom was 58 years old and she reversed heart disease in like 6, 7 months, you know? Um, I would just say that just believe in the process, believe in the power of raw foods and healing foods and juicing. Juicing to me is like the most powerful tool in modern technology. You know, it's like we have all these different tools. I mean, that I'm surprised they haven't banned the juicer. You know,
Right?
fast on it. Start drinking green juices, start throwing some wheatgrass. I mean, it's to me, it is the best medicine you can get. I even remember on Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, that guy, the big guy that was losing all the weight and going back for his blood work, and he brought juice to the doctor's office. You know, imagine that. It's crazy. It's like, unfortunately, this is the thing. We know that the medical industry isn't, you know, Western medicine isn't, they're going to treat you with a pill. They're going to treat your symptom with a pill. They're never going to get to the root cause of what's going on. And unfortunately, that's how they're trained. Same with the cancer stuff, you know, the cut, burn, poison approach. So why not try this? You know, it's unfortunate because I've seen it with my family. I saw my grandma, saw it with my aunt right now. You get that diagnosis and it's like a death sentence. It's like fear immediately like strikes your body and you feel like your body's giving up on you. And you don't believe in something like this to, you know, flood your body and, you know, regenerate and all that stuff and detox. So I mean, it's hard because some people are going to grasp it and that's their journey, and I think some people won't. But I just say believe in it. You got to believe in it. I mean, me as myself, like I'll never turn my back on juicing. It will always be a staple in my diet because I just know the power of how much it transformed my life from what I was doing before.
Sure. Well, with all that information that is available, it can get quite confusing because there's so much information out there. But I'm glad there are people out there like you to help people kind of figure out what's best for them in your coaching and your retreats. And I appreciate your time. And I'm going to put your contact information below the video so people can contact you if they're looking for any of your services, especially if you're looking for some fellowship in California area and learn about where these raw places are. I know you're the man because you're out there and you know these places. So that is a great connection to have. And what's some future projects that you'd like to accomplish or that you're working on now?
Well, right now I'm working on figuring out retreats. That's like my passion, man. I mean, bringing people together and seeing in those like 4 or 5 days the breath work, the juicing, the raw foods, the movement, the talking to people. Because most people that are on this journey is very isolating. It's very alone. You can see people through a screen, but being there physically with them, I feel like retreats, just in myself being at retreats, it's life changing. And that's like my ultimate goal is I would love to have a retreat center. Um, but until then, I mean, I just have all these little spots that I do them at, and that's kind of like my passion. I've put coaching off to the side for a little bit just to kind
Okay.
of really get myself back over the last couple of years, and just get back to content and get back to just what created this whole journey of mine. So,
Well, great, man. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show here today. And
oh,
thanks for sharing that powerful story.
dude, as soon as you reached out to me, I'm like, are you kidding me? You're a legend. Of course. It's my pleasure, man.
Well,
I would
that's
love to come out and meet you sometime. I would love
you're
to.
welcome to check out the farm and all the trees, and that'd be wonderful to have you out here. And when I make my way out west again, because I used to go out there a lot, but now I'm so happy where I am, I don't want to travel. But when I do, I definitely will look you up out there and check it
Yeah.
out. I know there's
Yeah.
a place down there in Southern California. I used to go to Neurolox where I used to get fresh durians and fresh jackfruits. There's a little like international market area around there, and I used to get all those, and I'd be like, wow, because I had to travel all over the Southeast Asia to get these fruits fresh, and then I found this place in California that had it fresh. But so I was in New York, it was only frozen. But now, I mean, I don't have to buy fresh jackfruit. I grow fresh jackfruit. It's absolutely
Oh,
amazing. I mean, it's so wild that, the full circle that we can have. I wish I can grow durians here, but you can't grow durians in the continental US. But everything else you could just about you have. And I look out my window and it's mangoes and bananas. So if I can get
paradise.
away and travel and get to LA, I'll definitely call you.
Yeah. And if you do, I have a hookup out here. I have a place that has tropical fruit. I just went to pick some up yesterday. I got a bunch of dragon fruit over there, sour sop. The guy hooks me up. So,
Very nice, very nice. All right, everybody. I'll put Jonny's information below here. Check out his stuff and subscribe to his social media. And I'm going to come back with some more inspiring stories to help you just stay in this movement and just continue to improve your own health. So thank you, Jonny, for being on the show. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Put your comments and questions below. Until then, have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.